I did some maths and I figured out that I might have 80,000 hours in my career if I was lucky. If I have a full life and a long run, that will be the sum total of my contribution. And I started to ask myself, what would be the best use of that time? And so that was the key idea of Inspiral, was that to make a difference in the world, I just needed to help more people spend their life working on things that mattered. And I didn't have an opinion about what mattered. That was up to people to decide. So if someone was passionate about food systems or climate change, they could choose what to work on. All I did was try to help them one at a time quit their jobs, become freelancers, earn more money, have more freedom, so they could work on whatever they wanted. We had this idea from the beginning around decentralizing the organization. So instead of employing people, I just helped other contractors get work, and we focused a lot on mutual aid. So it was very much about how can I help you and how can you help me and how can you help someone else. Peers working together to support each other in whatever way was needed. And the more people I spoke with, the more I realized everyone is quite different. Some people really needed money, or they needed leads for contracts, or they needed skills, or they needed colleagues, or they needed a space to work. And we started to just do whatever someone needed to become strong and independent. We started as a network of contractors. We did a lot of stuff with digital technology and cultural technology. We became a collective of ventures, and now we're transitioning to become a collective of communities. And that's the journey where we're at right now. So I wanted to talk a bit, the topic of this was innovation, and we've gained a reputation for doing lots of things quite differently, and we've copied most of it. So, for example, the way we do contributions, the whole financial model of our collective is one of financial contributions. Individuals contribute a little bit of money in, but mostly it's ventures give a portion of their revenue to the collective. And the percentage varies between 0 and 10% of revenue, typically. All of our decisions we make via the consent process. So the idea is that anyone in the group can propose a decision to make. We want to change our name, we want to spend lots of money, we want to formally merge, we want to kick this person out of the collective. Any decision, someone in the group can say, I want us to make that decision. Then people can see that decision is being proposed and they can participate in it. So this consensus process is quite old, and lots of people have used it in person. But when you do it in person, only one person can speak at a time. You're limited by the number of meetings you can have. You're limited by the number of meetings you can attend. People who've got more time on their hands have a louder voice. People who are more comfortable speaking in front of others have a louder voice. So it's got all these biases in there. So we built an online tool for these decision making so that we could have more decisions faster and cheaper. And this was the first big experiment we did in lowering the transaction cost of participatory organising. And so Lumio is a tool that's been going for 4 years now, and that's been the forefront of our experiments in how to do decentralised power and decentralised decisions. So there's lots more things like this where we have been trying to look at what are the fundamentals that need to happen in a group of people trying to work together, and how can you do them in a way which quite opinionatedly distributes money, information and control rather than centralising it. And I've got a dozen other examples. Decentralised power. I found that the idea of decentralising money, information and control was the key strategy here. That we could look at because if you look at data and information, like most organizations think transparency is a good thing. There's this growing awareness and trend that the more transparency, you can build different ecosystems. But if you just make all your data public, no one will be able to do anything with it. It's just raw information. It takes time, it takes context, it often takes skill to turn data into actionable information. So I found that transparency was expensive and not free, and we had to actively resource how do you turn data into usable information for people. So the idea of mutual support and high trust, the key of it is that we can go further together than we can alone. So that if we start to figure out how to work together, we can do much more than we ever can when we're individually with our own resources and skills. And I think the idea here of balancing strong cultural processes, retreats, coaching, personal development, bringing your whole of self to work, talking about emotions in the workplace, as well as technology such as Slack and Lumios and co-budgets and information systems, you can get this really rich balance of the emotional side of mutual support as well as the technical information side of mutual support. How do people actually know you need help? How do I know that this lead is good for you? How can I see what your skills are and whatnot? And the other one is around how can we scale businesses and how can we build international businesses in quite different ways. So the idea of, I've seen firsthand what an entrepreneurial cooperative can do. You can get 100, 200 people together, they'll start lots of businesses, some will succeed, some will go okay, some will fail. But then if other people want to start entrepreneurial cooperatives, how can you have relationships with them, which is focused on how do you share your best businesses with each other? How can you collaborate to build more international ventures? And there's a whole line of inquiry around this. Because I think that just like when you have a strong gift economy internally, I've seen the cost of transactions go down, that if you have a cooperative of entrepreneurial networks around the world actively sharing and supporting each other, I think you can see the costs of building and scaling global ventures go down so that they actually become more competitive than other models. So that's a line of inquiry that I'm diving into.